From the studios of Tucson Business RadioX, recorded in the Stewart Title corporate offices on Broadway, you are now listening to The Mark Bishop Show. And now here's your host, Mark Bishop.
A very interesting topic on this particular show with Mark Bishop. Nice to have you again. I've got a terrific guest, somebody I've admired for a long, long time. The founder of PETA. Yeah, Ingrid NewKirk. Welcome, Ingrid.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark.
1980. Seems like years ago, I bet. Boy, have you come a long way since then. I want to talk about a brand new book that PETA's brought out. It's everybody's talking about it. It's called Animalkind. It's an ideal gift still for Valentine's Day, just gone. But, you know, look, birthdays or children's birthdays, any wonderful things coming up, I still think it's ideal. Folks, it's called Animalkind, and it offers an entire section on the intricacies of love, an exploration of the many ways that animals, now get this, from geese to mice, they show romantic and lasting affection for one another, and they choose a partner for life, and even risk their own lives for their loved ones. By gee, Ingrid, these animals do better than humans. So what?
They definitely do. They could put us to shame with our divorce rate, I think, is about 45% now. And geese, for example, swans, all these birds particularly, their divorce rate is something like 95%. I mean, their fidelity rate is 95%. So they stay with their partners for life. They fall in love and they stay that way, and they're very devoted to them.
It's incredible. You know, this book, Animalkind, you know, PETA itself has become an unstoppable force and the largest animal rights organization in the world. Publishing something like this, an exploration of the richness of animals' lives, including their love lives, as well as their extraordinary talents, deep emotions, and amazing intelligence. I mean, it wakes us up a little bit as humans, in my mind, the many exciting and easy ways people can act to prevent, to harm animals. This has got to stop. But the book does that too. Now, let's look at some fun animal facts and give some insight into fidelity, Ashley. Firstly, a gander will shuffle rather than strut, stop grooming himself, and lose interest in food if his mate dies. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, Conrad Lorenz was the first person to observe this in geese. And he tells a story of three geese who had an interesting and complex relationship. But to cut to the chase, two of the ganders were vying for the love of one beautiful goose. And, of course, only one could win her affection. And they stayed together for life. The other one, whose name was Gurnemans, became so depressed that he couldn't walk properly anymore. He kept his head down. He stopped looking after himself. So he became all dirty and ruffled. He didn't groom. And he just didn't care about eating anymore. His heart was broken. And you see that. I was once in Pennsylvania. They used to have pigeon shoots there. They'd round up the pigeons and they'd let them go, and people would just shoot at them.
Oh.
And I saw, it was just so awful. We would protest it every year. It stopped now. But you would see wing-shot pigeons come down to earth and sit there and be in pain. And another pigeon would come and sit beside them and try to comfort them. And you see the same with geese, with swans, with so many animals. That's, I think, really a lesson for us in empathy.
My word. Now let's touch on the familial love. Orangutan mothers, they'll nurse their young up to their 9th birthday. And grown orangutans will continue to visit their mothers well into adulthood. And when it comes to grief, dogs are known to refuse to move from their guardians' graves. Well, you know, I mean, that's known, that one, isn't it? You know, with doggies. They're pretty loyal.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so many animals grieve. I mean, we all know the stories of the elephants who cradle the bones of other elephants and gather around. There's a wonderful video on the internet of a chimpanzee funeral where all the chimpanzees at a sanctuary in Africa gathered to watch the funeral of one of their own. They knew that this one had passed away, and they just look so grief-stricken. But yes, grieving isn't a particularly human characteristic. It's a shared trait. And of course, you look at dairy cows. That's a terrible thing. When the calf is taken away from the mother so that the milk can be sold for human consumption, that mother loves her baby. That's her life. It's like any mother, human or otherwise. And then she mourns. And dairy farmers say that for at least 4 days, all she'll do is low. She'll cry, and if she can, she'll break out of the fence or whatever and run to try to find her calf where he's been taken to. So yes, grief, love, maternal protection, all that is shared between all of us. We're not special. There's no us and them. We all have thoughts and feelings, and none of us wishes to be oppressed.
And some fun animal facts as well. Birds have been found to be far more devoted to their romantic partners than humans. And while the divorce rate in the U.S. is around 40 to 45%, swans, apparently, Ingrid, for instance, have a 95% rate of staying together for a lifetime. Isn't that lovely?
It is lovely, but there are other animals who are more like us, including one of our closest living relatives, the chimpanzees.
Right.
And they cheat on their spouses. They wait till their spouses are looking the other way,
There
and
you
then
go.
have a little affair on the side. So, chimpanzees, they lie, they cheat, and they steal, which is very human.
I think it was interesting about the courting male and female whales gently touch their flippers, then begin a slow caressing motion, and they roll against each other, locking their flippers and roll upward, lying side by side, before diving and surfacing together in unison. And if the female is not impressed with the male's move, she breaks off their aquatic dance in search of a more graceful partner. That'd break your darn heart, that would.
That's right. And dolphins do the same thing. And elephants, of course, they caress with their trunks. They'll wind their trunks around each other. And they use their trunks in such interesting ways because they can use them as a snorkel when they're swimming. They could pick up a paper clip with that trunk, and then they use them to caress, and they use them for rumbling, and they use them to pick things up to eat. I mean, it's just, they're all so clever.
Well, I do different interviews, Ingrid, from various people at PETA. They bring even the lawyer, bringing us up to date with latest cases that have been won and where you're at and what's the next battle that you're doing. This is a little different, this Animalkind. It's a beautiful gift. Where can one buy it?
Thanks for asking. It's Amazon.com, of course, or it's there, Animalkind. And I must tell you the subtitle, because there are two animal kinds. This is Animalkind, Remarkable Discoveries About Animals and Revolutionary New Ways to Show Them Compassion. You'll see a horse and a tiger and a parrot and dog on the cover. Or PETA.org, O-R-G, we will always help anybody with anything they're looking for that's an alternative to the use of an animal.
Well, that's easy, www.PETA.org. A lot on the site. You can sit there in your slippers and your podgies and, enjoy a cup of tea and enjoy it. It's a great site with a lot of things. I just want to ask you, you're doing lots of different things now with PETA. You've got to generate funds. I mean, you do a terrific job. What are some of the innovations that industries have used to create a better world for animals that you think? And how can we apply this to our everyday lives? Because the book, you wrote the book for a reason, and there's a lot of messages in there, right?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. The beginning is eye-opening. I really, honestly, jaw-dropping things about animals that most people don't know and that will make you, hopefully, just think, good Lord, and respect them. The second part is what we can do, because now we know who animals are, then there are lots of things that we can change in our habits that will enrich our lives and certainly not hurt them. One of the things is that you have the power of the purse. Everybody, retailers, anybody who makes anything will make it and provide it if they know you'll buy it. So consumers are extremely important. They can ask for vegan leather instead of cowhide. They can ask for the Beyond Burger instead of the chicken nugget. If they've got a child or if they're a parent or a teacher, instead of cutting up the frog in class, we now have Syn Frog, which is a synthetic frog, feels the same, looks the same as a real frog. You cut it open, take the organs out, but you can reuse it, and nobody suffered as a result of that lesson.
I think that would appeal to a lot of the girls too, does frankly.
Oh, you've hit the nail on the head, because remember, and when I was growing up, the little boys would always dangle the ghastly organs in front of the child's faces. That's all gone. Of course, we have everything from robots instead of car crash, animals used in car crash experiments. We have CGI, computer-generated, whatever it is, images for television instead of capturing wild animals. And we're getting rid of wild animals in the circuses. They don't need to stand on their head wearing a silly headdress and what have you.
So listen, is all this stuff on the site? Can I read about this on the PETA site?
Oh, yes.
Everything's there?
Absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right. That's good.
And you can get involved.
That's marvelous. Ladies and gentlemen, Lessons on Love from PETA. It's the latest book on animal facts and stories, and it's titled Animalkind. You can get it at Amazon, or you can actually buy it even straight off the site. I think you can go to PETA.org and order it, can't you, Ingrid?
Yes, absolutely.
You can do that as well. On the Mark Bishop Show, I was so proud to have the founder. Think back to 1980. You know, that lady, what a job. Ingrid NewKirk, the founder of PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Lovely to have you. Take care.
Thank you.